In the previous lesson, we saw what ionic compounds are. The compounds formed by the transfer of electrons from a metal to a non-metal are known as ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds. We had seen an example of sodium chloride. As sodium and chloride ions are oppositely charged, they attract each other and are held by strong electrostatic forces of attraction. What about the properties of ionic compounds? Because of the strong force of attraction, ionic compounds are solids and are hard. But when pressure is applied, they will break into pieces, which proves that they are generally brittle. Can you take a guess about the melting and boiling points of ionic compounds? Will they be high or low? As they have a very strong inter-ionic attraction, a lot of energy is required to break the bond. Hence, they have very high melting and boiling points. These are two of the properties of ionic compounds. They are hard and brittle, and they have very high melting and boiling points. What about their solubility? Let's take 3 beakers. In the first one, we have water. In the second one, we have petrol. And in the third one, we have kerosene. If we take a sample of some ionic compound and add to these 3 beakers, we will notice that it dissolves in water but is insoluble in nonpolar solvents like petrol and kerosene. One last property we will look at is conduction of electricity. Ions, as we know, are charged particles, but ionic compounds can only conduct electricity if their ions are free to move. We also know that ionic compounds are generally in the solid state. And because of that, the movement of ions is not possible due to the rigid structure. Hence, ionic compounds do not conduct electricity when they're in the solid state. But what if they're heated and converted to molten state? What happens due to the heat? The heat helps overcome the forces of attraction between the ions. And hence the ions can move freely and conduct electricity. Even ionic compounds dissolved in water conduct electricity. So let's review the 4 major properties of ionic compounds. They are hard and brittle. They have very high melting and boiling points. They are soluble in water but insoluble in solvents like petrol or kerosene. And they conduct electricity in the molten state or when dissolved in water.